mother to be. I don't have a mother now to take me through this process as I go through the hormones and what's to come next. I just research, I pray, and it just come natural.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, you just another thing is I really like the fact that you're honest about all of this. And I'm generally I'm that way, but you know, sometimes when you're in the media, you have to tiptoe around a little bit. I try not to, but let's go back to the church. And now, you know, everything is always good with the church when you're contributing, when you're donating, when you're mowing the yards, when you're making the food for the after the congregation. You're singing in the choir.
For the appreciation.
You're doing all these things. And at the end of the day, they chastise you because they feel like marriage or the sanctimony of marriage should be kept in place because that's what they come from. And when you look at the example of the American churches, look how oppressed Black people have been for decades. If it wasn't for just the faith in God, they would not have the little bit that even they have today. Now, you being a trans woman, how do you feel about Black people? You know, I hate to say, I'll just say our people. They treat us and interact with us, even in the face of God, there's still that negativity and that burn. That burn of, you can see it in the face, they don't like you. And whether you're working so hard for the church, they're working harder to change you. Now, you know, the reason I'm so glad we're talking about the church thing, because I grew up in the church and my parents lived at the church 24 hours a day. If you know what I mean. Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays, and Sundays, all day, every day. Now, you, as a trans woman, what do you think needs to happen now with the trans community? Because you know the girls ain't got no work. We know they ain't got no work, and we know the first thing they usually turn to. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, I've always said this here. I always thought they should decriminalize prostitution, not because it's just women have been doing that forever and making money. I think when you decriminalize something and you help the people that are in a marginalized situation, you'll come out a lot better than putting them in prison. Now, I want to ask you, you said that a lot of bad things happen. Have you ever been to jail?
I have.
I mean, as a trans woman? Or as you? I mean, you say because it's natural. So I won't identify you as a trans. I'll just say as yourself. Have you been there?
I have. Yeah, so, just last year.
Okay. How did all that I don't want to know why it happened. I just want to know, how did you cope with being in there? Because, you know, sometimes trans women can be very difficult.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, when you are ready, if you want to bring me back on, because I got to be kind of, you know, cautious how I tread, because my story, or when I tell it in its full capacity, it would seem like something very fictional or something very, like I'm a crazy person. But I will say this much. For me, it was very traumatizing because I was not so much fighting with different guys that was inside of the jail. Because matter of fact, when they had put me in the block girl, I had my nails still on, right? And at this point in time, I wasn't like, I still had some facial hair on there. I was like in the early stage of becoming that woman. And I went into jail and I heard them talking about this, and I set it off. I said, well, all y'all niggas can come and get it. And if y'all come up these stairs, y'all come and get it. And moved me out, honey. They moved me out. and put me on a personal cell. But I've been to jail a lot, and I've seen a lot inside of the jail system. But when it comes down, you said something about the sex workers. I've done that too when I didn't have no food. I get it. Now, some of these girls do it because they just love to do it. They love the attention. They love the money. But there's some other girls that they don't have no choice but to. I got to get this money, honey, so I can get this bus ticket, so I can go to New York City, honey, to get this job done because I need to be myself. Or then there's others that have been kicked out by their parents and they don't have no food to eat. I get it. That's why women like us that God has are getting ready to establish, we should take it upon ourselves to build funding for our community and do classes and teach our young sisters how to be lady. That's the thing. It's okay to be a trans. It's okay to do your Beyonce number and shake it and buck, honey, even do your whatever. That's good. But at the end of the day, if you want respect, honey, you got to look like respect. You got to act like respect. You know what I'm saying? You can't open your leg up to everybody. And you got to be careful because you got those guys that love to look at you, love to embrace you, love to have sex, love for you to suck their nana, honey. And at the end of the day, honey, when they get through and they come to reality, they want to take your life. Because now they're looking at them. And they're afraid to be them. So that I'll kill you. Yeah.
You know, I'm glad you said all that I was expecting, and I'm grateful for that because it just made sense. And you know, I was gonna tap a little bit onto the trans murders. Now, because for me, I was talking to Desiree De Mornay. I don't know if you know her, but I was talking to her, and she explained to me, because I kept asking her, why are these girls keep getting murdered? The trans women, and mainly the black ones. Mainly the black ones. And I understand that, you know, I'm from the States. I understand that I've seen the girls when they're in their highest form and when they're in their lowest form. And I know sometimes they do desperate things. But for me, it doesn't make any sense, Mimi, for a man to come into your home, take your life just because you had sex with him.
It's not right.
I don't understand that because it doesn't make any sense. Now, I try to ask, why is it that the girls don't fight back? Why is it that they trust these boys, you know, that they know? Because we all know, our gut instinct always tells us if something's wrong. Doesn't matter where it is, your gut instinct tells you when there's something wrong about a person you're interacting with. Now, when I asked her about, because I wanted to talk about those girls in Puerto Rico, in 1 week, 4 girls dead. Now, that's not just murder. That's something more than murder. And how is it that these girls didn't fight back? How did they let their guards down? Because these are black girls, so I know that the majority of them, black or Latino, they grew up fighting. And yet, still to this day, you have very few of these culprits caught. Now, you know, New York City saw a rash of trans murders for a while there. You know that.
Exactly.
And you know, I have lots of friends there, Miss Hedda Lettuce and Candace Kane, and a few other the girls that live there. I used to hang out with all the time. And I try to talk to them, and you know, the girls don't want to talk about the murders, but we need to talk about what's happening and why is it that the murders generally are by black men. What do you think the problem is?